When the Ford Mustang was introduced in 1964, the world fell in love with pony cars. Americans especially couldn't have their fill of the sporty but affordable convertibles. The accolades showered on the Mustang were endless, and this got the engineers at Chevrolet a little jealous. Okay, it wasn't a little because, in 1967, they launched the Chevy Camaro with a bang. On the day of the press reveal, the product managers were asked, "What is a Camaro?" And their response was, "A small, vicious animal that eats Mustangs." It was no joke. Once the Camaro was launched, the Mustang almost stood no chance. Now, the final Chevrolet Camaro has rolled off the production line, giving the Mustang a chance to fly the flag for American muscle cars again. However, to commemorate the incredible run of these American superstars, we'll be mentioning 14 of the rarest Chevy Camaros ever made. We'll start with the very first Camaro ever made, the 1967 Chevrolet Pilot Assembly. In 1966, factory workers at Chevrolet's Norwood, Ohio plant were hard at work. They had a deadline to meet as they set to squash every record the Ford Mustangs had achieved. However, things were quite tough because the Pilot Assembly was handmade. Imagine the effort the engineers had to put in without any help from robots. But despite their efforts, they could only produce 49 of these Camaros in the first original run. To make things more interesting, a good number of the cars produced were used for testing before serious production began, and due to their low production volume, they are among the rarest ever produced. Its power came from a 3.7-liter inline-six engine, producing 140 HP and 220 lb-ft of torque. Its power is nothing compared to what exists today, but owning one is considered an extreme privilege. Then comes the 1981 Chevrolet Camaro Yenko Turbo Z. Yenko has been a name attached to the Chevrolet models since the 60s, when Don Yenko, a Chevy dealer, started modifying Corvairs and selling them as track-ready cars. He then moved on to tweaking Camaros and found success with them as well. Unfortunately, the custom car business took a nosedive in the early 70s. However, before Yenko finally threw in the towel, he poured his heart and soul into the 1981 Chevrolet Camaro Yenko Turbo Z. In 1981, Chevrolet stopped the production of special high-performance engines, which Yenko had used in the past. Therefore, he took a standard Z28 model fitted with the LM1 350 V8, which had a measly output of 175 horsepower and added forced induction. Yenko had used a Turbo International turbocharging system on the anemic 350 to increase the power output to up to a whopping 250 ponies. The man knew the way to the heart of many Camaro lovers. Knowing that turbo cars suffered ignition problems if they came without computer controls, he added a water injector system to the original carburetor in use. He also added a fuel heater to ensure the cars complied with the standards. These cars were incredibly astounding, and he only produced 19 of them. These cars are so rare that the only time you might be lucky to see one is at a car show. Coming in next is the mind-blowing 1993 car, the Chevrolet Camaro Indy 500 pace car. The 1990s were all about crazy dance moves and even crazier color combos. Not to be left out of the trend, the Camaro decided to also do something funky with their design. In 1993, the Chevrolet Camaro was the pace car at the Indy 500 race. Although Emerson Fittipaldi stunned his fans by bringing home the win, he wasn't the star of the show. The awesome pace car with the cool graphics was the true star. It was so loved that Chevy had to make replicas. However, only 645 were built and sold to the public. The exterior design, which is the most captivating part, came in colors such as two-tone black and white with gaudy pink, turquoise, purple, and yellow ribbon-like decals. Its interior also featured this crazy color blend. Good luck trying to stay inconspicuous in this car. For its engine, Chevy provided options of either a 6- or 8-cylinder engine, different from the pace car that only came with the latter. The 8-cylinder engine provided 275 horses that allowed the sweet Camaro to go from 0 to 60 mph in 5.6 seconds. The 1993 Ford Mustang Cobra tried to reach the same mark, but it took 6.2 seconds longer. Whoops! You could still get one of these, but you'd search for a while. This next car was also a pace car, Camaro. Pace cars were really stunners back in the day, and if you hear of the features of the 1967 Chevrolet Camaro RS SS pace car, you'd agree. Chevy knew what they were doing with the Camaros right from the very beginning. When they launched the model in 1967, it could be ordered in one of several trims, the Z28, RS, and SS. The SS was the most revered because of its powerful engine, a big block V8 engine that gave off 375 horsepower. But what was even better than the SS was the pace car that graced the 51st Indianapolis 500-mile race. They came bearing similar features to the SS, but with light blue interiors, and decals on the doors read, Chevrolet Camaro Official Pace Car, 51st Annual Indianapolis 500-mile race. When Chevrolet saw the wide acceptance of the pace car, they made replicas. Some say a couple hundred were made. Some says it was 350. What we know for a fact is that it was limited. So, if you find one on the streets, there is a good chance that the owner bought it for about $632,500. The next on the list is the 1988-1992 Chevrolet Camaro ILE from 1988 to 1990. When you ordered a Camaro IROC Z model, you could get the 1LE package. The package was also available for the Z28 from 1991 to 1992. This package turned an already incredible car into something even more powerful. To get this package, you had to have proof of participation in professional auto racing. Then you'd order a new IROC Z or Z28 and state the special options to get the upgrade. Option code G92 got you the performance rear axle kit, and G80 added Positraction. However, to really get the complete package, you had to delete air conditioning completely from the order. This gave your car larger brakes, a close ratio transmission with a shorter fifth gear, a baffled gas tank, stiffer struts and springs, an aluminum drive shaft, and so much more. This car was made for the racetrack. At first, it was kept hush-hush, with only 62 of this car being built, just as it's the norm with limited models. However, when the news of its incredible performance spread wide, Chevy was pressured into making more. By the end of 1992, 1,360 1LE Camaros had left the factory. But despite this seemingly large number, they are now the rarest to find. They look like any other IROC Z or Z8, so if you see one, you wouldn't even know. This list would be incomplete if we failed to mention the 1970 Chevrolet Camaro SS. In 1970, Chevrolet introduced a brand new Camaro that was totally different from its predecessor. It looked more aggressive and was also curvier. Several upgrades were also made to the chassis, providing improved handling. The Z28 of that year was a top performance model, and it came with a 350 V8 engine that gave off 360 ponies. The SS version of this model made just 300 horsepower, but it could be ordered with a big block L78 396 V8, which boosted the output to 370, beating the top Z28's output. So you might wonder why this model made the list, because tens of thousands of this Camaro was sold. However, only 600 buyers picked the L78 396 V8 option, making them extremely rare in the present day. But a model that was designed to be limited was the 1996 Chevrolet Camaro SS SLP Firehawk. Born from a collaboration between Chevrolet and Street Legal Performance, the Firehawk was indeed fire. This pony car looked like it was crossed with a Hot Wheels toy, and boy, doesn't it look dramatic? Besides its incredible look, the Firebird Firehawks had a 5.7-liter LT1 V8 engine with 300 HP and 330 lb-ft of torque beneath its hood. Performance was quite astonishing. It could go from 0 to 60 mph in just 5.3 seconds. For a pony-backed muscle car, it was also particularly light and agile in the corners, making it a very good ride. In total, only 41 Firehawks were built and sold. Chevy didn't make this beauty for the masses. So, if you ever see one, or ride in one, you're in the top 1%. Another rare model is the 1969 Chevrolet Camaro ZL1. If you're a Camaro lover, you'd know that the recent ZL1 models are the powerhouses of these pony cars. However, its origin dates as far back as the 60s. Just like the Z28 package, the ZL1 got its name from the original order code used to build the cars at the factory. However, the ZL1 was never an official production model from Chevrolet until recently. In the 60s, it was usual for dealers to order cars fitted with certain high-performance parts designed for racetrack use from the factory. Before emissions regulations were established, Chevy could sell such high-performance cars without worry. The automobile company also developed and built engines, suspensions, and transmission components for race cars. These were bought by racing teams across the country. The cars were so incredible that they not only attracted race car teams, but car dealers also wanted a share of the juicy Chevy pie. In the 60s, a Kansas City dealer had been so impressed with the all-aluminum block engine used in Can-Am series racing. These engines gave off a sweet 430 ponies. Who'd want to pass on that? So he came up with a plan to have some brand new Camaros fitted with these engines and to sell them to the highest bidder. This was the birth of the Camaro ZL1. Chevy granted his request and built him 50 of the cars. However, the cars were too expensive, and this brought about some chaos, which led to some of the cars being returned to the company. Chevy began selling them slowly, all through to 1973, at a cost that was $1,000 higher than the most expensive Corvette at the moment. The really expensive cost made sure no other units of this car were made. They've since become legendary. Another legendary vehicle is 1982 to 1986 Iron Duke Camaro. Chevrolet was always updating its style to match with the ongoing trend, and in 1982, they did it again. They replaced the rounded curves that had been the major highlight for the 70s with sharp creases and flat surfaces, while the almost useless small trunk had been exchanged for a more convenient and practical rear hatch, which came with a large greenhouse. Furthermore, the chassis was also improved. The rear leaf springs were ditched in favor of coils and an updated front suspension with modern sweep. The new car handled much better than the old, and its styling seemed like the best the 1980s had to offer. However, in terms of power, the model fell seriously short. All that beauty and the top-performing Z28 version gave off a measly 165 horsepower. The base model was even more uninspiring. It was fitted with a 2.4-liter, four-cylinder engine, commonly known as the Iron Duke. With it taking 20 seconds to reach a quarter mile, the car was really frustrating and no one really wanted them. Chevy had sold 189,747 Camaros in 1982, but only 21,802 had the Iron Duke. What makes this model rare is that many of the Iron Dukes were not preserved, so they mostly rusted away long ago. Those that exist till date are those that are probably still undergoing the rusting process. So being rare didn't automatically mean it was a great model. However, the 1967 Chevrolet Camaro Z28 is actually a stunner. The Chevy company was quite busy in 1967, churning out amazing models just to crush the Mustangs. It's common knowledge that when a car gets the Z28 label, it was a show stealer. Everyone who drove the Z28 knew how special it was, and this model wasn't any different. In 1967, Chevy's manager at the time, Pete Estes, wanted a version of the new Camaro to be built to compete in the SCCA Trans Am series, which allowed a maximum displacement of 5.0 liters. The manager had told engineers to take a crankshaft from the 283 and install it in the 327, resulting in a displacement of 302. Several other upgrades were made to the engine, and a new suspension was built to fit the new design. The high-performance SS code had been Z27, so the new package was called Z28, and from that day, the Z28 name stuck. In 1967, the first year of producing Camaros, the Z28 was built as a special package meant for racing. This led to only a few being built. Approximately 602 units were made. At the time, that was a considerable number, but now, getting one of these is almost impossible. Then we have the 1969 Chevrolet Berger Double-COPO Camaro RS. When you look at the car, what comes to mind is that it isn't special. But if you get to know it better, you'd realize that there's more to it than what meets the eye. Beneath its hood is a massive 427 CI big block V8 that gave off 425 horsepower and 460 lb-ft of torque. At the time, it was one of the most powerful Camaros ever created, and only 58 units were made. Its incredible V8 engine wasn't the only reason it stood out. These special cars had power front disc brakes and a sports car conversion package, which added many extra features. These included heavy-duty springs, a 140-mile T-rent speedometer, bigger sway bars, and 15 x 7-inch rally wheels. Their rarity ensures the Double-COPO Camaros are very valuable when they come up at an auction. Up next is the 2012 COPO Camaro. We've already mentioned how great the 1969 Camaro ZL1 was. Well, the COPO Camaro was derived from that model. The COPO Camaro was a high-power racing car produced in 2012. However, it was not an officially sanctioned vehicle, and the company stopped producing it after the first year, hence its rarity. The car could be ordered with a choice of 3 V8 engines, which ranged in sizes from 5.3 to 7.0 liters. The power output ranged from 327 to 427 horsepower. Only 69 of these were built in 2012. But Chevrolet continued that tradition of making high-powered replicas for past models until the final 2024 models. By 2023, the manufacturer had increased its offering to a 10.3-liter V8 with an incredible output of 1,004 horsepower. Imagine how fast that baby would go. Also, in 2012 came the Camaro Transformers Edition. In several movies, the cars are often the star of the show, just like in the Transformers franchise. In the 2007 Transformers reboot, a 1976 Camaro was used early in the film before it was revealed as a Transformer that later changed into an upgraded model. Chevrolet decided to milk the movie's success by using it as a marketing tool for its Camaro that had not been officially released. When it was finally released, the Camaro was a hit. Chevrolet had capitalized on the incredible success of the movie by releasing an official production car in the colors of the movie cars. The bright rally yellow Camaro got the same black racing stripes as in the movie, with black leather interior and yellow highlight stitching. It also had HID headlights, 20-inch black painted wheels, a bespoke spoiler, and Autoboot logos on the fenders and center caps. This amazing Transformers package cost an extra $3,000, and only 411 buyers chose to go for it. Although quite a number were produced, it's almost impossible to find in the present day. And to round off this list is the 2024 Chevrolet Camaro Collector's Edition. Chevrolet decided to end its Camaro era in grand style, hence the introduction of several special editions for this last generation. Packed with features to make it stand out, this special edition will become very rare and even more valuable in years to come. This collection starts with the top-line ZL1 trim package that gives off the 650 horsepower supercharged 6.2-liter V8, cooled by a sequence of 11 heat exchangers, and is stopped by 6-piston Brembo brakes. It moves on 20-inch black satin wheels, and its downforce is provided by the 1LE front splitter and the ZL1 rear splitter. Performance is top tier, and the Camaro is stylish as ever. Although the Collector's Edition package is available for LT, RS, LT1, and SS trims, only the ZL1 gets the Panther black matte paint with metallic black ZL1 stripe, with red brake calipers and black lug nuts. Only 350 copies were made. All cars will get a serial numbered steering wheel badge, custom floor mats with laser writings and Panther graphics on the front fender. Furthermore, the lucky 350 buyers will also get a bespoke Canfield Sport 45mm watch from Shinola. Fancy. It's probably too late to order one, but you might be lucky to get one 10 years later. It's sad that the Camaro era has come to an end, but we're grateful that we had the opportunity to witness these beauties grace the road. If this little trip down memory lane warmed your heart, be sure to let us know what your favorite Camaro is in the comments section. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. See you in the next video.